No one remembers the name of the soldier who stood on the shattered bridge that morning. No monument bears his face. No textbook records his final stand. And yet, if not for him, an entire valley would have fallen into darkness. In the choking smoke of war, with artillery rumbling like distant thunder, one lone figure rose to face an enemy advance that should have crushed him within seconds. He did not stand because he expected to live. He stood because someone had to be the last defender of the broken bridge. The village of Harrow's Reach lay tucked inside a rugged valley, surrounded by pine forests and rising fog-covered hills. It was small, unremarkable. Only around 500 people lived there, but the stone bridge that crossed the nearer river was its lifeline. Supplies, medicine, relief convoys all passed over that bridge. More importantly, the bridge connected a refugee evacuation route stretching through the valley to safer territory. When the war exploded across the region, enemy forces advanced rapidly, cutting through towns and military outposts alike. Within weeks, Harrow's Reach became the last evacuation node, holding together an escape corridor for thousands fleeing the front lines. If the bridge fell, the route was cut, and cutting that road meant trapping civilians behind advancing enemy armor. Sergeant Elias Barrett wasn't famous, he wasn't decorated. He came from a riverside town thousands of miles away, where fishing boats lined muddy shorelines and church bells rang every Sunday morning. He enlisted not out of patriotism or glory, but because he felt useless watching tragedy unfold from a distance. His unit had been tasked with rotating through bridge defense while evacuation convoys passed. Most rotations were quiet, only distant shell fire and the cold routine of guard duty. Elias never believed the bridge would see a decisive battle, until the day the radios went silent. The early warning arrived in fragments. Interrupted calls, static-choked commands, reports of enemy armor advancing faster than predicted. Elias was leading a squad of 8 men when they heard the final transmission, enemy spearhead, crossing ridge line 4. Eat at 10 minutes, fortify positions, a static consumed the rest. No reinforcements were coming, and evacuation was still underway. Across the bridge was a convoy of 12 civilian trucks filled with families, children clutching blankets, elderly gripping oxygen tanks, wounded refugees barely conscious. Those trucks needed at least 15 minutes to clear the narrow access road on the far side. They had only 10. Elias ordered his men to prepare fallback positions while engineers rushed to rig demolition charges beneath the bridge. The plan was simple: blow it as soon as the convoy cleared, even if friendly forces were still nearby. But plans disintegrate the moment the first shell lands. The explosion hit near the western embankment, sending dirt raining down like hail. 2 soldiers were wounded immediately, one severely. Panic rippled across the squad. Through the smoke, Elias saw the distant line of dust rising on the horizon, enemy armor. Movement was faster than expected. Too fast. There wasn't enough time to evacuate civilians and save the platoon. Something had to be sacrificed. Command radioed the order they didn't want to give: immediate retreat. Charges are set. Fall back now. Elias looked at the bridge. 6 trucks remained stuck in traffic on the far side. Children pressed against windows. Mothers screamed silently behind glass. If the demolition went off now, those people would die. If the soldiers stayed, they would die. There was no solution without blood, and Elias made the decision alone. He ordered his squad to retreat. They refused, so he gave them a final command: get them out, or this means nothing. They pulled the wounded and ran. Elias turned back toward the bridge alone. He climbed behind the concrete barricade at the western bridge entrance, timing his breathing as the first enemy scouts appeared, infantry vehicles rushing forward beneath covering fire from tanks rolling behind them. Elias opened fire. One burst tore through the lead scout's windshield. The vehicle crashed into a guardrail. More followed. The battlefield narrowed, exactly what Elias needed. With calculated precision, he funneled enemy troops into a deadly bottleneck. Grenades collided with vehicle hulls. Smoke filled the road. Confusion spread, but he wasn't invincible. Shrapnel cut his shoulder open. Blood soaked his sleeve. He switched magazines by instinct, ignoring the pain, counting seconds rather than bullets. 7 minutes passed. The trucks inched forward. Elias heard the convoy leader's voice crack through his radio. 3 vehicles left. Almost clear. Almost wasn't enough. Enemy armor surged forward. A tank shell slammed into the bridge railing, ripping stone skyward. Elias flew backward, head cracking against cement, vision blurred. When he staggered up, his barricade was gone. He crawled behind a burned-out armored car and resumed firing. He didn't count kills anymore, only distance between the trucks and safety. 4 minutes, then 3, then 2. The enemy infantry closed in, flanking the wreckage. Elias's rifle jammed. He drew his sidearm. Bullets ripped over his head. He crawled forward onto the bridge, not hiding anymore, standing exposed, firing until the slide locked open. Silence followed, not from victory but empty chambers. From across the bridge came the convoy's message, all vehicles clear. Elias smiled. Then he saw the enemy advance spreading like a tide, and command came in. Delta Team, detonate charges immediately. The explosives were beneath his feet. He made a final radio transmission. Blow it. No confirmation on your location. I'm on the bridge. Pause, screams in the command net, then denial, then acceptance. Elias stepped to the bridge's center, surveying the valley one final time. Smoke columns rose over villages already lost. The river below shimmered peacefully, indifferent to the war spilling above it. He didn't kneel, he didn't run, he stood. Enemy rifles cracked. At the exact moment bullets broke the air, the bridge exploded. Stone collapsed into the river. Fire engulfed everything. The enemy advance stalled when the crossing vanished. The evacuation route stayed open through alternate mountain roads long enough for more than 9,000 civilians to escape. Harrow's Reach became a symbol, not of victory, but of survival. But Elias Barrett's body was never recovered. Only fragments of his uniform surfaced days later in the river remains. Command classified him as missing in action. No ceremony was held, no face was printed on recruitment posters, no medal presentation reached a grieving family. Years later, travelers crossing the rebuilt bridge still pause when the fog creeps in thick from the valley below. Some swear they see a lone figure standing at the midpoint, rifle slung, silhouette framed by smoke that no longer exists, and while the world forgot his name, the broken bridge remembers its last defender.